Good day, my name is Blue Suit and today I'll be going over my review of the story-driven troop collection tactical turn-based RPG strategy game known as King's Bounty 2. In King's Bounty 2, you play as one of three fated champions as they clear their name, unravel a plot of royal assassination, and ultimately save the lands of Nostria from darker and graver threats. You scour the cities and countrysides, quelling conflicts and helping citizens while slowly building your army with all sorts of men and creatures willing to fight alongside you. The story in King's Bounty 2 is one of the many great highlights of the game, so I won't go into any details about it here, but it is definitely a huge positive overhaul from the previous games in the series. For starters, the top-down view has been scrapped for an entirely third-person experience, and the dialogue, even though it's missing any sort of choices, is very well written and fully voice-acted. The voice acting is pretty hit or miss, but there's a lot of it. Even outside of conversations with people, it felt like no matter where I went, there was always someone to eavesdrop on. A group of men telling ironic jokes or guards remarking on historical events really made the world feel more alive. Not only that, but these offshoot conversations were actually interesting to listen to as well, as they often created connections with other quests or books you discovered in other parts of the game. Some of these conversations, however, could get a little annoying, as every time you ride past that group of NPCs, you'll have to listen to the same first few words of their dialogue. The main campaign is told over a huge semi-open world with lots of fast travel points around the maps to keep players from backtracking over and over again. Exploring the world is tons of fun, as there are dozens of unique locations that have completely different feels, like the Mage's Tower and its mighty iron golem army, or the city of Marcella that feels like a quaint medieval town full of merchants and quests to pick up. Actually getting around, however, can be pretty cumbersome at times, as it's one of the few flubs in King's Bounty 2. You can either travel around on foot or on horse, but on horse you can't interact with anything in the game, like opening chests or talking to people. And on foot, your run speed is very slow, so you're constantly getting on and off of your horse every time you find a bit of loot to pick up or an NPC to talk to, which in this game is a lot, because there's really an insane amount of loot hidden in every nook and cranny of this world, and tons of side quests for you to complete. And these side quests are one of the most addicting part about King's Bounty 2, because of the great rewards. In terms of items, yes, there are hundreds of magic scrolls, junk vendor items, and weapons and armors and trinkets for you to equip and augment your stats in a myriad of different rarities. But the real rewards are the new units that many side quests will give you access to. It's kind of a weird parallel to draw, but in many ways King's Bounty 2 has a lot in common with the creature collection genre. However, instead of catching cute monsters and training them to fight, you're just doing the same thing, but with fantasy troop types like swordsmen, griffins, and trolls. Each new town or area that you visit has new troop types that you can recruit based on your current leadership level. Most troops contain more than one unit, and as they level up, their attributes change, they can learn new skills and passives, and their actual appearance changes as well. All troop types in the game fall into one of four ideologies: order, anarchy, power, and finesse, based on their lore background. For example, royal soldiers fall under order because they enforce the law, while magical golems are creatures of finesse, which is King Bounty 2's school of magic. Commanding troops of mixed ideologies will cause their morale to drop, giving them a % chance to have their turn skipped in battle. Likewise, if your troops are all from the same ideals, they actually have a chance to get a bonus turn. The skill tree is also split between these four categories and starts differently based on your chosen character. Since there is no character creator at all in the game, you can instead choose between the warrior, mage, and paladin, who have a few points allocated in the power, finesse, and order tree respectively. The power tree focuses on having the most powerful, hardest hitting troops. Finesse will allow you to cast powerful magic during battle to shift the tide of fights, and order is all about having the most troops possible and removing the disadvantages of having troops from different ideals. And finally, anarchy is all about getting more gold and items from winning battles. Additionally, any character can build however they want beyond their starting skills, and having a mix from a few different trees seems to be ideal. Combat in King's Bounty has always been at the forefront of the series, and that's no different here. Battles begin by laying out your troops in a formation, usually with your melee in the front and your ranged attackers safely behind them. The thing that makes these fights so fun is that, for one, every map is different. When a fight begins, you aren't transported to some generic battle arena to duke it out, but you actually have your turn-based battle right in the game world. And each one has terrain and obstacles to present challenges and advantages to use against your enemy. The only downside to this is that battles do feel very static, and there don't seem to be any random encounters or roaming enemies in the game. The other really great thing about these fights is the diversity of the troop types and their abilities. Units can be melee, ranged, or both. Some deal magic damage, some like wolves can have a dozen beasts in a single unit that die one by one and then the unit gets weaker with each death, while others like giants usually have only a single unit with a massive health pool. There are void creatures, brigands, elementals, ghouls, zombies, and so many more, and they all have their own stats and passives and abilities that make them useful and worthwhile. And once you level them up and they die, you can just go recruit them again, and they even retain their earned levels. The only thing I wish it had was a codex so that I could better keep track of the ones that I'd met and recruited. You can pick up King's Bounty 2 when it launches on August 24th, 2021 on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and Steam for $50. But it's definitely worth even more than that. It has a few awkward moments in its controls and presentation, but overall stands as a shining example of how great an old school formula can be when a classic RPG franchise jumps forward a generation. It has a great story set in a colorful, living world with great graphics, fantastic sound, and a huge roster of troops to gain and train. So I'm valuing King's Bounty 2 at $58, and I highly recommend it to fans of tactical RPGs, especially if you've enjoyed previous titles in the genre. I hope you enjoyed this review of King's Bounty 2. Come see me on Twitch where you can watch our reviews in progress 5 nights a week. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Until next time, peace!